Hi YouTube. I'd like to do a little introduction here, and through doing so I'm going to answer the 7 witchy questions from Ember Honey Raven. I'm sorry I ruined that. I'm pretty sure that tag is about 2 years old now, but I feel like it's a good way to kind of introduce myself and just kind of, yeah. So here we go. Start off though, give you my name. My name's Tessa. I've been practicing for about 1.5 to 2 years now, as far as like actual practice. But I have been spiritual and on the path to enlightenment for a while. I'll warn you, behind you, my hair, my room, everything. I'm a mess. I'm a mess. My life's a mess. Just part of it. We gotta do what we gotta do. So jumping right into it, these 7 questions. Number 1, the biggest disaster that you've had, spell-wise or witchy-wise. And yes, I've got them wrote down. Let's see, the biggest disaster. It's really personal, and I cannot 100% blame myself, and I'm not going to go into too much detail. But, had a friend of mine, a very, very, very close, dear friend of mine, who might as well have been family, who was really, really sick and was in the hospital for about 2 weeks. And he was actually like unconscious, unresponsive, in a coma, and wasn't looking like he was going to make it. And I was doing some spell work, which I know he was in the hospital, he was getting all the medical attention he could. I was just doing some spell work to try and do my part to try and, get the scales of the universe to tip in his favor. And I did it for about a week, and then I'm in college, so I get really busy. I had a really, 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 really busy day one day, and came home, didn't continue to do the work, and it was just a simple working every day. But I didn't do the working one day, and about the time that I had been doing the working in the previous night, like weeks, the same time every day, about the time that I did not in fact do that working because I was busy and I got home and I was tired and I didn't think about it, he actually passed away. That's not to say that the magic I was doing was what was keeping him alive, but I don't believe in coincidences, and that one's a hard one, and that's something that I'll have to carry with me for the rest of my life. But, yeah, so I think that would be my biggest disaster. Lost my best friend because I got lazy. 2, something you wish someone had told you when you were a new witch. I'm still a fairly new witch, I think. I think we're always going to all be new witches. Like, you can be proficient in what you do, and you can, know the meaning to every herb, and, not even have to crack your book open to do spell work because you're just so adept at what you're doing. But I think there's always stuff to learn. But I think something I wish someone had told me was, don't go out and buy everything. And also, when you do have to buy things, the dollar store is your best friend. Like, your very, very best friend. In fact, yesterday I went in and got like 15 or 16 candles in a bunch of jars. I had ran out of my jars. I'd actually used them all doing some other work. And needed some more jars for spell work, and I just really have a thing for candles. Don't we all? But, yeah. So, don't buy everything, and when you do have to buy, don't spend a bunch of money on everything. When you do, go to the dollar store. It's your best friend. My biggest witchy pet peeve. This is question 3. My biggest witchy pet peeve. That would have to be the lack of other practices or ideas in mainstream witchcraft. You find your books, you find everything, and they're always mentioning Wicca. And no offense to the Wiccans out there. Awesome. You do you. More power to you. I'm not a Wiccan. I've actually never been a Wiccan. Before I decided, or I guess I didn't really decide, I guess the path kind of chose me. Before I, kind of veered off my path and onto this one, I was an agnostic atheist. Yes, both of them. Not going to get into the details of that at the moment, but it's kind of an agnostic atheist, so I don't deal well with the idea of deity. It doesn't resonate with me. It makes me very anxious. It makes me very unhappy. I don't do it. So you go to your metaphysical store. I know I just said don't buy a bunch of stuff, but you still gotta visit the shops. They're home. You pick up a book, you flip through it, and you start reading, and it starts mentioning the Lord and the Lady, the God and the Goddess, and Wicca, and the Circle, and all of this, and that's just not what magic is to me. It's just not what it is. I guess that's my biggest pet peeve. Question 4. When did you first know you were a witch? I've always knew I was different. I never resonated well. I tried really, really, really hard to get into the dominant Christian attitude in my area. I tried really hard, and I couldn't do it. It never worked. It was never something, it was never something that worked for me, or that made me comfortable and feel guided. It just never was. So it was always different. I guess I started dabbling in like some spiritual enlightenment, some opening your chakras and whatnot in high school, like early high school. And then I moved to college, and I figured out that, hey, there was a name for everything that I felt, and an actual practice that goes along with it that is not only very fulfilling, but it's also a hell of a lot of fun, and that is, witchcraft. I didn't know for my entire life until I moved here to college, that was a real thing, that people really do, call themselves witches and do witchcraft and manipulate the energy of the universe to make the light, stuff happen for them. And that just opened so many doors for me, and since then I have just been sucking it up. Like, I can't really think of things that suck things up right now. I'm kind of brain dead. But, just sucked all of that up and was just, yes, so I guess about that 1.5 years ago, 2 years, this was when I first found out I was a witch, because that's when I found out it was a real thing. I grew up in a very sheltered area of the world where you go to church, that's what you do. You believe in God, that's what you do. And you don't really have a say in the matter. So I got out of that area and found out that, hey, there's another world out there. 5. Best witchy book you've ever read. This might be a little weird answer. I don't really have a best witchy book I've ever read. Like I said, once I found out this was a thing, I felt drawn to the path, and I own several books on witchcraft and such, and I love reading books, but going back to my pet peeve, I don't like reading things about deity and Wicca, and that's so far all I found. I enjoy the books, and they still give me a lot of knowledge, but not enough to call them my favorite book. So my best witchy book would be Tumblr. Has been a lot of help for me on my trip, or on my journey. I guess you could call it a trip. Trying to figure out who I am and what I want to do and how everything's going to work for me. Sorry, it's getting cold. Yeah, so there's that. Best witchy TV show or movie? TV show, love Charmed. Love, love, love Charmed. Didn't watch it growing up. Again, grew up sheltered. Got Netflix, found it on Netflix, binged it, loved it. Favorite movie? There's a danger of sounding very, very, very cliche. And I don't care. My favorite movie, my favorite franchise that has anything to do with witchcraft whatsoever is 100% always my favorite movie ever anyways. Well, franchise of movies ever anyways is Harry Potter. Huge Potterhead. I'm a Slytherin. Come at me, bro. And 7, last but not least, have you ever doubted your path or your magic? Definitely. And I think it's foolish to not. To not have, not doubt it every time, but to not have doubted it before. But like I said, I came from a very, very Christian, very centered, like patriarchal centered place, and even now there's still sometimes when I'll do some spell work, it's like, are you sure this is gonna work? You know, there's still that part that's ingrained in me that's, you know, God doesn't like this. Can't do what God doesn't like. Screw that. Screw God. I'll do what I want to do, and the universe will do it too. So, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this. This is Tessa, and yes, I do vape, and I'm going to let you out with a cloud of smoke. Bye!